Yeah.
All right. Chirp one. Is Don Sweeney getting a free pass for the roster that has been built?
I think he is.
He sure is. There's not a lot of talk about. There's a lot of talk about Montgomery right now.
Yeah. I think he is. I mean, like I said earlier, $22 million to spend. And, this is the roster you have. And, we've talked about it a bunch leading up to this, and we'll get into it a little bit later. But where does this Bruins top 6 rank among the top 6 in the NHL? And I'll give you a hint, folks. It's low. It's low. And he built this roster.
Mm-hmm.
He signed these guys. He let other guys go. He traded away Taylor Hall, traded away Foligno. I'm not saying Foligno is any great shakes or anything, but he traded away, let Tyler Bertuzzi walk. There were guys within the top 6 that had some offensive talent that he let go, and he didn't really replace them. He brought in guys like Max Jones, who is, taking the penalties. And then, PTO guys. And he's just trying to fill the roster with, Band-Aids and not any real, offensive impact signings. Elias Lindholm, as much as I love the way he started, and I think he is a mini Bergie, good face-off guy, good 200-foot player, what they want in a center. But he's really a number 2 center, not a number 1 center.
Sure is.
And they gave him number 1 center money.
Mm-hmm.
And, he had 44 points last year. I mean, Charlie Coyle and Pavel Zacha both had better years than him last year.
Yes.
So why are you spending all that money on a guy who had 44 points? It doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't.
So, and then you spend on a defenseman that you probably don't need. So there's 2 guys that you spent, fairly big money on, big term, big years, that you probably should have looked elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And then, the Swayman thing, whatever. I said all along, I thought he botched it because he gave away his leverage when he traded Allmark away. And I don't think he got enough back in the Allmark trade. He got Korpisalo back, and we were killing that at the time. It certainly doesn't appear as though Goalie Bob has fixed Korpisalo up until this point.
No, it's going to take some time, I think.
So, he kind of missed, I think, this offseason. And, maybe at the time people were saying, oh, what's he going to do? What else is out there? He's going to do something else, right? Nope. And he said going into the season that the roster wasn't finished, but he has like $40 in cap space. So unless you can find, diamond in the rough here, you left your roster short, and you had a bunch of money to spend. So why is your roster short if you had a bunch of money to spend on it?
And he even admitted that it wasn't a finished product.
Yeah.
And it should be. I mean, it should be. You had $22 million to shore it up, and all you really lost was DeBrusque of any, of anything. So, but you were already down a forward last year. That's part of your downfall last year, was that you were down a forward. And then when DeBrusque leaves, you're down for 2 forwards. And who knows if Jake Gensel comes, or Jonathan Marchand, or Chandler Stevenson, or Steven Stamkos. Who knows if any of those guys could be coerced to come here? That's the other thing. I mean, there was a list of players available, but it was kind of a short list.
Yeah, it was.
So
I mean,
guys, who knows if those players just weren't. But Elias Lindholm was a Bruin last year, for God's sakes. Like, it was the biggest unkept secret in the league.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a signed
They've
deal.
been chasing the guy since he was good, though. That's the problem.
Right, since he was good.
They were chasing him after he scored 41 goals with Matthew Tkachuk and Johnny Gaudreau.
Yeah.
Like, pretty good players.
Pretty good players.
So, of course you're going to have a good year playing with those guys.
Sure.
Everybody has a good year playing with those guys.
Yeah.
So,
right.
They've been chasing him since then. So what does that mean? How good is your scouting if you're like, oh yeah, Elias Lindholm's the reason those guys had that line was good?
No,
it wasn't.
No, they were line drivers and out.
And since that time, he's gone down and down and down and down and down.
And that was the sign.
for Vancouver. Had a good playoff, but Vancouver has good players too. A bunch of them.
They do.
So I felt like that was a little bit of a reach as far as how he fits here. I don't not like the player. I like the player. Fine. I think
not
he's
at that
fine guy, and I think they gave him too much money.
Gave him too much money. Yeah,
Both
5.5, I think, is more what he should get, like Coyle money. Is what he should have. And then Zadorov was really the one, I think, in hindsight, that might really hamstring them. Like you've got Lindholm, Hampus Lindholm, and Zadorov, both making $5 and $6 million, and I don't know if the left side and then Lowry is going to have to make
what are you going to do with him? You paid all these other guys.
Yeah, he's going to get a raise. So yeah, I mean that's a tough one. You're going to have the three guys on the left are all going to be making $5 or $6 million a year. Like that's a lot for your three left side defensemen. So yeah, I mean it wasn't. Again, you don't know who's willing to come. In what you were left with when it comes to maybe it was Zadorov was the next best free agent. You went to go get him. I don't know, but it doesn't seem like Zadorov was really necessary as your biggest need, which was a winger or two.
Here's what my problem is with it is they don't shoot high enough, in my opinion.
Right.
It's never the top free agents available. They don't seemingly look at those guys outside of John Tavares, and everyone basically knew he was going to Toronto because that was his hometown childhood team. But they don't appear to be in ever on any of the top guys.
The big one, right?
With the big guys, and they also don't ever appear to be in on any of the big trades. Because they just don't have the balls. Sweeney doesn't have the balls to do it. He doesn't.
No, because you're not going to trade roster guys for.
He doesn't have the balls to shake up the roster because he could. He could lose the
trade,
and then he'll look like an asshole.
Playoffs, right?
Yeah. So, to me, they're not. The front office, Sweeney in general, is not creative enough. Is not
risky enough.
Yeah. To really improve the roster like it needs to be improved sometimes. Like sometimes you need to just shake up the DNA of the team. Florida did that. They traded away two of their best players.
The guy who had 115 points.
Yes. Probably the best defenseman. Right. They traded Mackenzie Weegar and Jonathan Huberdeau.
Right. Both. Top 4D and a number one center.
To get Matthew Tkachuk.
And lo and behold, you win the cup.
Worked out pretty well for them.
Worked out great. It was the right move. See, those are the types of savvy moves.
Vegas trades Alex Tuck and some other, young capital to get Jack Eichel. Jack Eichel goes to Vegas, they win.
Yeah.
And Cassidy goes there too, but they win. So, kind of a risky, daring trade. But it pays off. Vegas has always been willing. Always willing to trade for high-end talent. That's what you need to win in this league is high-end talent.
So,
it's high-end talent. High-end talent wins.
It is.
And the Bruins do not have high-end talent right now. The
only time they got a high-end, like when they got Taylor Hall, is because Hall basically said, I want to go to Boston.
Yeah.
Like other than that, it's really difficult. And we said it on the pod last year. Like maybe the center you need is not there. So get the best winger. And you were all over Jake Gensel. Like go get Gensel. Because you can't get the center you need, which is a playmaker number one. He's just not there. It's just not there. So get the next best thing, which is a 40 goal scoring winger. Get that guy.
Yeah, I mean,
Gensel and Marchand were the two guys. Like, get those guys instead.
You're just pissing me off now talking about it because it's true. Like, you need goal scorers. You need talent.
Yes.
You need guys who can score, can put the puck in the net. You need a guy who can break a game more than one.
Right.
Like, so if Pastrnak shut down on a particular night or whatever, you can still win the game. Yes. If Pastrnak shut down now, you don't win.
Yeah, we said it. We said it then. We said it. Have Gensel and Pastrnak, and then figure out the center later. Like figure
Sure.
out the center later, or put a center in there that's decent, and he'll put up points because the other two guys can score friggin' goals.
Yeah,
You
give me
know?
a center that wins face-offs
Yeah.
and is responsible defensively. Give me,
Right.
John Gabriel Pajot or somebody.
Yes.
Give me a middle of the road guy that wins face-offs, can penalty kill, and is responsible 200 foot, and put him with two wingers who could score. I
Right.
guarantee you the line will be fine.
Yes.
Yes. It's just,
Yeah.
I mean, I end up getting like a loss for words because I'm just, it makes me furious to think about like all these, potential guys that they just pass on because they're like, well,
they were hell bent on the center.
Yeah, we
They were
really need a
hell-bent.
center.
Yeah.
Well,
so they
now-
overpay the center.
Yeah,
they
now
really
you
need
need a
size
center.
on D, so they overpay it.
Yeah.
Now
they need a center and a wing.
Yeah.
Or
They
two.
do. Yeah. They need a center and a couple of wings.
Yeah.
Now they're screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah.